In fact, Aniya said that she went with her gut. While it's time for her to get some Greek yogurt, some sort of probiotics, maybe even antibiotics, she needs something because that gut failed her. What's up, everybody? We had a heated episode of Love Island USA last night, to say the least. So a lot of people on my nerves. Listen, everyone not named Trinity or Bryce, or maybe Carl, may be getting it today because you're getting Big Brother recapper Nick today, which means everyone can and will get it because this episode annoyed me more and more as it went along. And I'm sure some fans will be fine. Fans of most people will be fine. In fact, only Soul and Casey fans cry in the comments to try and baby them when I call out their bullshit. But let's start small. Let's start with Kenzie and Dylan, who are going well. Dylan saw Corey do a date for Melanie, so he decided to copy that with a date with Kenzie, which was this massage makeout session. Kind of corny. But honestly though, is there a single person who cares about this couple? I haven't seen a single fan, and yet I might put them higher than most couples right now, because the couples that are currently on this show are very, very low. And then we have Jen and Gall, who gives a fuck. Jen is not even the main character of her love triangle on this show. This is her first story, really, since being on the show. It is Gall between Jen and Kenzie. And Jen's not even the main character of her own storyline. I think that's so embarrassing. Plus, Gall clearly does not like Jen. Gall was so awkward with Jen during these conversations in this episode. I don't think Gall's into Kenzie either, quite frankly. I have a theory that Gall is just trying to make sure he is in the villa to get with Zach. That's my theory on Gall. Corbin and Parmita, I mean, honestly, they're both perfect for each other. All they talk about is each other's looks and how they're like each other. These are two shallow narcissists. But the problem I have is that Parmita is the elder 27-year-old on this show. She is the oldest woman this season thus far. And I feel like she is now in this position where if she doesn't give it up to Corbin, Corbin will try and get Kenzie's French fries again. And I feel like that is a very embarrassing spot to be in as a 27-year-old woman on national television, to have to sit there and eventually come to the realization that if you don't put out to a 22-year-old guy, you might get curbed on the show on national television. So I'm honestly embarrassed for Parmita. Bryce, I don't have bad things to say about Bryce. In fact, I have good things to say about Bryce, because in this episode he had a conversation with Sydney, which showed that Sydney had still been trying to explore Bryce, obviously to stay in the game, because that is what Casa girls do. He said he just doesn't want to explore out of a reaction to what he saw in the photo of Trinity kissing Corey in the photo booth. He still was not exploring after that, despite Sydney prodding him here too. Sydney was trying, like a Casa girl should, but this showed that Bryce was being pursued by Casa girls, even if it was because they were trying to stay. Annayia in this episode annoyed me. I know I usually try to defend Annayia, but I don't know if I have it in me today. Somebody else is going to have to do it. Annayia talking about she wants fine shit. She is attracted to Casey. I mean, she's beating those not attracted to Casey allegations in this episode for sure. Trinity was trying to talk sense into her, telling her that her fine shit will just keep fucking her over. But sure, she could be a stupid bitch. Annayia definitely should have listened to Trinity. All these people were getting on Trinity over the past week that, oh, Trinity's just playing the game. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, Trinity had an easier position right here with Bryce at this recoupling. But what did she have to gain trying to get Annayia with the new man? Nothing, because actually it would have helped Annayia out. not just in the villa, but with the audience. There was this growing pitying for Annayia and Carl to get together. It was doing numbers on TikTok and Twitter. So, no, I don't think Trinity was doing this from a strategic standpoint. I really do think she was trying to help Annayia not make a fool out of herself. Annayia in this episode was talking about being happy with Carl. She did not choose happiness, though. But this is just another example of how stupid struggle love is. It's so stupid, yet there is a very big segment of the audience, especially when it comes to black couples on this show for whatever reason, that really want to push struggle love on the women. Well, Annayia is another example in a long line of examples that it's stupid. Annayia and Carl played volleyball in this episode. They had this conversation afterwards. Carl saying he is more chill and reserved, doesn't know if that's really connecting with Annayia, which clearly it wasn't. Even though I still feel Carl was much more Annaya's speed, I just don't think she's attracted to the guy physically, maybe facially, maybe. Sincere in this episode, it's the same old Sincere. I'm tired of watching Sincere. Like, he's gotten old. He's been one note this entire season. Let me just love bomb a woman who I don't even have to love bomb, especially since I'm just going to go back to Melanie. But here I'm going to make out with this girl all day, lead her on. It's the same exact thing he did to Soul. Then he just gives his analogies and similes. This time it was about pies. And he has to make a sincere decision. So yes, I am tired of Sincere. Corey tried, like I said earlier, Dylan was copying Corey on making a date. Corey tried to have an actual date with Melanie. He was taking modeling pics of Melanie. I really did feel like it was a good try. They did end up kissing, I guess trying to give us a little bit of hope that Melanie might actually wake up. But we'll get to her decision in a second. Lastly, Che and Kayda. Kayda gave this man nothing. She continued to be the person that has explored the least. And I don't rate it. I don't respect it. I have zero feelings for the Kayda and Zach relationship as much as I have wanted to like Kayda this season. Overall, she's been a disappointment, and it is because of this coupling with Zach. Because Zach just comes off like a person who doesn't like Kayda. In fact, he comes off like a person who doesn't like her but wants to make sure nobody else has her. And Kayda plays right into it. And I don't respect it. Let's get to the recoupling. Jen chose Gall. Nobody cares. Next, Caleb and Jaden. I mean, again, does anybody really care about this couple either? What has Caleb brought to this television show other than an accent? Because I'll wait. That's about it. And then Jaden, I'm sorry. For all the Casa girls that came back to the villa, I guess she's the nicest. I guess you could say that. She might fit in with the villa girls compared to the other two. But there just seems to be nothing in that head of Jaden's. Jaden said she's a real blonde. She's clearly not if you look at her head. But like, brain-wise, yeah, she's blonde, all right. Casey and Dylan. Kenzie chose Dylan. Kenzie had this speech about how Corbin is a shitty person that she's done with. She talked about how she didn't realize when she was with Corbin why the fans voted them towards the bottom. She's blaming Corbin, not knowing it was because we couldn't stand Kenzie. So I don't like that Kenzie doesn't know that yet. But yeah, she was mouthing off against Corbin. The rest of the girls were hyping her up, despite the fact that they were about to embarrass themselves. They were hyping up Kenzie. At least I will give Kenzie that. Kenzie knows how to move on and when to move on. Corbin came in with Parmita, and the girls booed Corbin. They knocked his Persian cat as well. Corbin had to learn that the girls got to watch the beginning of Casa more with the heart rate challenge, and heard Corbin switching up with the new meat and throwing Kenzie out the window and all of the comments that he made. Parmita was saying, despite all of that, she feels confident. Kayda said that she shouldn't. And she shouldn't. The girls say that Corbin talked shit, could have just moved on without all of that. And yeah, that's one of the big problems as to why the fan base is currently tearing Casey and Corbin apart, because they could just not stop themselves from talking shit, which is why I have been saying it is like this manosphere podcast where they just sit around, talk shit about the girls. On one hand, Kenzie was sexually open with Corbin, but she's still getting dogged. On the other hand, Kenzie was upset how slow Annayia was moving with him physically. She's still getting dogged. So it's just two guys sitting there talking like woman haters. Parmita was saying she wasn't aware of the disrespectful comments that Corbin was making. And Kayda asked why she wants a guy that was just thinking with his dick, because that was Parmita's excuse for Corbin. And again, Parmita is embarrassing for a 27-year-old girl. She is the oldest girl, and she is an embarrassment because she is in an embarrassing position with Corbin. Kayda and Zach recoupled, I guess to no surprise, but this is still a couple with no depth, no sauce, no rhyme, no reason. Plus, Zach's girl, the racist girl, got booted either way. So it's like, was Zach going to ever bring her back? I don't know. But regardless, this recoupling is just so blah because Kayda does not explore, and Zach just comes across as not like a real person. If you or anyone you know is voting for this couple, please try and get them to the doctor to have a scan on their brain, because I would like to know why they are voting for this depthless couple. Melanie chose to recouple with Sincere. Sincere also chose to recouple with Melanie. I figured that Sincere was just stringing Amora along, like I've been saying. As for Melanie, I do not respect Melanie. I don't like the fact, that Kayda doesn't explore, and it's because of Zach, of all people. But Melanie stays with someone who keeps telling other girls the same exact thing they tell Melanie, because that's what he did again. And yeah, Melanie doesn't know that he did that yet again, but Corey told Melanie what he was doing with Soul. And Melanie was just saying, she was the one hyping up herself, Kayda, and Annayia, saying, we can't sit here and look like pathetic, stupid bitches while I present to you these three, in Melanie's own words. Even the announcer said during this recoupling that, will sin return to break Melanie's heart or just do it later? Everyone knows that Melanie is getting played by this stupid guy, and he's not even smart. Melanie saying she was embarrassed when she saw the picture of him with Amora. Mel says she keeps hearing that she deserves more, but her whole speech to Sincere didn't move me. She said she deserves more, but she didn't choose more. She went off, but it was just words. So I don't respect it. I'm sorry. I'm going to need some sort of action from Melanie in order to gain respect back for her. But right now, I don't have it. He brought her a flower. It was just lame, even though it did make her smile. I think this relationship is lame, and I think it is toxic. And you can never get me on board a toxic relationship like that one. Trinity and Bryce were our only real feel-good recoupling of the episode. Trinity's speech was that she couldn't give Corey 100% of her attention, how she cried about Bryce. She likes Bryce's sense of humor. She can be herself with Bryce. All things you should feel in a relationship. Bryce came back. They were both wearing yellow. Bryce ran to her at one point. Both of them crying. He did have tears in his eyes. His eyes were red, watery, not faking it. He said he missed her so much, all he could think about was her. He was crushed by the photo booth kiss. They kept panning to Zach, especially when Trinity was giving her speech. I don't know if this was to show Zach's jealousy, or if this was to show that Zach is upset that Bryce and Trinity might be beating them at this game. Anyways, they kissed, Bryce saying he's glad that's over, and he really is. Like, I've been seeing shots from episodes that I didn't even see. Like, I could see Bryce in the background sometimes looking dead inside and depressed. But there were shots that I didn't even see of Bryce just on his bed looking like death away from Trinity. So this was much needed in this episode because it only got bad again from here, to say the least. Maybe the worst of all, because they did keep Annayia for last to not choose Carl. She said that Carl was there for her and he was perfect, but the whole time she was thinking about KC. So she chose KC, and, you know, she's beating the colorist allegations, beating the not into KC allegations. But in return, I might have to throw allegations at Annayia that she is stupid for not following her intuition here. She's someone that has had a good intuition this whole season. Not following it here, pretty stupid. In fact, Annayia said that she went with her gut. While it's time for her to get some Greek yogurt, some sort of probiotics, maybe even antibiotics, she needs something because that gut failed her. Casey did come back with Tiara. Annayia saying she feels stupid. And she should, but at the same time, she doesn't have all this info. Annayia doesn't know how much shit Casey really talks behind her back. And I'm very annoyed with people like Sincere who go to Annayia for advice all the time, but clearly not telling Annayia things. Although Annayia did throw Sincere under the bus that one time, so maybe that's why Sincere doesn't do it. But if they're supposed to be these friends, you would think that Sincere would tell Annayia something. So yeah, Annayia does not have all of the information on how much shit talking Casey has been doing, like the little bitch that he is. Annayia had to tell the girls they were right. She had hope. They told her she was delusional, and she was clearly delusional here. Casey saying that Annayia had a sad reaction. Casey said that this decision was for him, not for Annayia, so Annayia did say, fuck you. Casey then said his biggest bullshit of the season. Nobody has said bullshit like this, not even Sincere, saying that he poured into her and that he picked her this whole time, but on the first day, nobody picked him. So Annayia had to rightfully tell the stupidity coming out of his mouth that Annayia did pick him at the recoupling. When did Casey choose Annayia? Words of affirmation is not choosing. Words are not actions of choosing. So either Casey is a big old bullshitter here, or he's really fucking stupid. I would say both, probably. So his whole speech here didn't make sense. He just wanted to cry about night one again, and it's unfathomable to me. Did I say that right? Unfathomable to me that he has been holding this grudge since night one on Annayia and just plotting revenge the whole time. Carl was also having tears in his eyes here. He's another Cancer like Bryce, so I guess that's not surprising. But it did seem like his eyes were tearing up as much as Annayia. Tiara started talking, saying that Casey deserves to be happy. Trinity had a question for Casey about the comments he made to Bryce about how Casey was confused that Bryce was in the top spot with the rest of the couples, and that Casey deserved to be in the top spot with the rest of the couples, and then the first chance Casey gets, he's doing some bullshit. He was also called out on being scared to explore with Soul and how Sincere got to Soul first. Casey lied during this confrontation, saying that he didn't say that he didn't explore Soul because of Sincere, but we heard that out of his own damn mouth. So either Casey lied then or he lied now, but either way, he's a liar. Tiara interrupted, got into it with Trinity. Trinity says that she's talking to KC, and Nia is saying KC can talk for himself. He's a grown man. Tiara would not shut up, though. Tiara, we've deemed her as crazy, and I still do feel that way. Tiara called Trinity a little girl. Well, Casey and Trinity are both born in the big year of 2003. So if Trinity's a little girl, while Tiara is now with a little boy, and I mean, she is by how insecure Casey is, Trinity said that she's defending a man that she's known for 3 days, and that's insane. And Annayia was asking if this is Bad Girls Club, which is a shot at Tiara, I think calling her hood. A rightful shot. Because Tiara getting into it with the girl's hair, what a way to start the villa experience. And on one hand, like, I kind of get it, but I can't remember a casa girl being this mouthy on entering. And of course, Casey likes that because now he won't have to defend his own bullshit when Tiara will just do it for him. And Tiara is crazy. She does seem like the type that will fight, but honestly, in a fight, I am taking the New Hampshire Grim Reaper. We have seen videos that Kayda has been fighting her whole life. Casey gave this speech where in my opinion, this is the boy mom's man right here. Casey was talking about Tiara, saying he sees his mom and sister in Tiara, which to me means he just called his mom and sister crazy and loose. But then he also said she's basically a broke poor from South Central, not a rich family like you, Annayia. Casey said, Annayia comes from a good family. She will be fine, but I chose this brokey right here. Casey's speech to Tiara was not good. But again, with Casey's words here, it showed that some men cannot be with women who are more well off because of their own insecurities. And if we have learned anything about Casey, he is very insecure. Annayia said that Casey was writing her off completely here, which he was after his speech. I think Casey may have thought Annayia was going home, but that was not the case. The girls were telling Casey they don't respect him. He said he doesn't care, but I've never seen a man care more about how he is viewed on a dating show, actually. Casey gives all of the fucks because he's been whining and crying about an empty door on night fucking 1. 3 weeks later, still angry about that and taking it out on Annayia like it was just her fault. Before Carl left, Carl said that Annayia is smart and beautiful. He wishes her the best. Annayia said Carl is cool. Afterwards, Annayia was still crying, so some of the girls got her out of there. What happened is, it's what Casey wanted. Casey wanted to seek his revenge for night 1, which to me is still psychotic. He wanted to humble Annayia. I don't know if it's in a way to be able to manipulate her, to make it seem like she needs him, or if this was just his way of getting revenge. And unfortunately, Annayia is still too young and not smart enough to know that Carl was the more consistent person that she needs. But I guess there also does have to be attraction. So yeah, like I said, Annayia beat the colorist accusations. She beat the she doesn't like KC accusations. But I feel like she was added to the Love Island bird species list accusations. She can still, get out of not being like the Kaler species of bird or the KK species of bird. But she might be in there. And this vote that one of these casa people can come back. I know the vote's probably going to be for Carl. But I'm sorry, at this point, you couldn't pay me to root for Annayia and Carl going forward. I'm sorry, but she's not attracted to him. And then he would just be a simp. It would honestly be better for her to have him in the villa, I guess, at least. But it's kind of another guy in the villa who Annayia didn't choose. And while I do think Carl is older and way more mature than Casey, that I don't think he would be a pussy that holds a grudge about it forever. But still going to be aggravating to watch though, because it's going to be very hard for me to buy them as a relationship. It's going to veer on the verge of pity voting, and I've made my stance clear on that this season. I spent an entire year shitting on Huda and Taylor after last season. Well, it's looking like it's going to be KC for the next year, because Taylor last season, as much as he would just not stand on business until it took a challenge to get him to do so, he was giving pretty clear signs that he was not into Olandria. Casey, however, has been talking this good talk to Annayya's face while plotting revenge for 3 insane weeks. And I don't know how to unpack that, because Casey is like the embodiment of the people that haven't liked Annayia since the show started. They see her as privileged. They made up paranoia scenarios about all the reasons she doesn't like KC, only for KC to be the one who hates her, like the manosphere fed loser that he is. I've seen a few think pieces on KC over these past couple of days online, being like, the KC discourse ruined my Love Island experience, and it's from guys with bitch tits all the time. And I bring this up because it's like the third time I've seen something like this. It's always men with bitch tits that see themselves in KC, and I don't really see it, because these guys posting these things are clearly red-pilled or incels, and thus it's why they are trying to live vicariously through KC, which to me speaks volumes. But they are also like KC in the way of, you don't have to watch. If you can't handle the KC discourse, you don't have to watch. You don't have to sit there and baby him and make excuses for every stupid thing he says, which he has been saying for weeks now. If you can't take Casey being called out on his bullshit, you don't have to watch, because you are being a soft loser like KC, who held a grudge from night one on a show where every season people are rejected on night one. Loser shit. So we'll see what comes of this mess. I'm sure Carl will get voted back. Good luck to him, I guess. And I don't know which woman will be back. It's either going to be Amora or Sydney. I like Sydney more. I guess Amora adds more drama because of the sincere stuff. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Amora could help Melanie wake up too. Will Melanie wake up? That's a question I guess we still have to have answered. And how can Annayia fix the own situation that now she did help cause? Because she had all the warning signs. She did not listen to her intuition. She said she listened to her gut, but it was wrong.